What is up, fight fans? It is 2 p.m. in the Mile High City, so you know what that means. It is time for the MMA Plug presented to you by Mile High Sports. I'm your host, Jordan Kurtz. You can give me a follow along online at Comments from the Peanut Gallery, sitting here alongside UFC middleweight, the Big Yin's Josh Fremd. Give him a follow at Josh Fremd MMA. Going to throw this out there right away to you folks on the broadcast and watching here along. Josh Fremd thought that he had an interesting doppelganger here for the day. Josh, who do you think you look like?
Skeen's brother.
I mean,
if I didn't know any better, I don't know. The mustache was really a joke for the Creed concert, but I got some raving reviews. We might I don't know if I can go full clean shaven mustache. I don't think I'm that guy, but a little scruff and a thick mustache. I think it works. What do you think, Danny?
I mean, you look
straight a good look
with it.
Yeah, we going downtown tomorrow.
Gonna go hammer some wings, But yeah, folks, give us a follow here along on all social channels at the Mile High Sports Network. We appreciate you for following along. As noted, football season is in full swing now with the NFL as well as college football. So keep it locked here for the core four as far as sports updates with the Mile High Sports Network. There is a lot of shows that are going to be going down throughout the rest of the fall as we head into the winter season here in Colorado as well. Had a couple of events over the weekend. Going to talk a little bit about one of them later on in the program. And, guys, there is so much talent here on the local scene that on these exhibition shows, these smokers, some of these amateur heavy cards, you have the opportunity to go out there and see who are the stars of tomorrow. You never know who is going to emerge from some of these cards here on the local scene of Colorado to go on and be the who's who on the biggest of stages. From the local scene here in Colorado, we've had everybody from your Corey Sandhagen's, Justin Gaethje's, to your Markel Maderos's of the world, Brandon Royval's, lots that have made their bones, if you will, down here on the local level on these Colorado cards, who now you can see, like I say, on the highest of high stages. So if you have the opportunity to come out and check out the action on any of the local cards, I think that it's worth your time because you get the opportunity to grow and attach yourselves to who the stars of tomorrow are going to be. Fair to say, Josh?
That's easily fair to say. There's so much talent around this area and in many local areas that go out, see a local show, support these fighters because you never know the next week they might be in the UFC.
Absolutely. And we're just going to run down a couple of these events. And then in a couple of minutes, we're going to head over to one of the focal points of this week's LFA card in Kendra McIntyre, viral sensation after her last fight on the LFA. So like I say, keep it locked here for all of those news bits, interviews, and talking points. But running through the Colorado rundown, on September 21st, you have the Colorado Combative Sports Academy Spoker that is going down at the Colorado Combative Sports Academy that is just north of town. So for all of you who are looking to get a little bit of experience in that live environment, it's an opportunity to either at least go check out what it's like or enter yourself in the mix, get some of that experience in the process. Following that, September 28th at the Colorado Tattoo Convention at the National Western Complex, there is Colorado Jiu-Jitsu Club. I'm a big fan of the show. Obviously, I'm biased because I do commentary for it, but I just love the concept of jiu-jitsu in a cage. It was birthed from an old jiu-jitsu match where the competitors fell off of the stage and into the crowd. So Steve Paparocki thought, well, I got a cage. Let's throw him in the cage. Combines two of my favorite things, jiu-jitsu and MMA. Say less.
It makes a huge difference when you're in a cage to when you're not, when you have that other obstacle that you can push someone up against or use to maneuver and get a submission. I think it's a great concept and just keep doing it. I'm jealous. I want to compete in it one day. It looks cool.
Absolutely. Then October 5th, you have Battle MMA Championships back in action in Colorado Springs at the Norris Penrose Event Center. On October 12th, you have the 5280 Muay Thai Fight Series at the Stampede. That's a Muay Thai matinee. Those are afternoon shows. You're out of there in enough time to go about your evening. It's an opportunity to go out there and see striking, pure striking. If you want to go out and see the art of 8 limbs in just an afternoon of skilled violence, that is the opportunity to do so right there at the Stampede. That's right off of Havana Street, not too far from here. Then you have the Colorado Sports Report Invitational. It's a 16-man sub-only tournament per bracket. There is a cash prize. I believe it's $100 entry per person, and winner takes that cash. You get a $1,500 prize if you win your bracket. So pretty nice little bracket opportunity to make some cash there. Next weekend after that, we have the Legacy Fighting Alliance making their return to Colorado. It's going to be happening at the Dobson Arena in Vail. Josh, you had the opportunity to headline a card in Vail. What is it like competing at over 8,000 feet of altitude?
In one word, tiring. I got so tired. When I was training for that fight, I went up to Vail a couple times just to get some cardio workouts in, some runs in. And man, it doesn't matter how much you prepare for it. You're gonna get tired. It is an amazing experience. Vail is beautiful. Dobson Arena is amazing. It's a lot bigger than you think. And that place was packed. And I'm excited. We have a couple teammates on Factory X who are fighting on that card. And I'm excited to go and just see the next guys, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then rounding out the Colorado preview, we have Colorado Combat Club happening on the 26th, the next day rather, at the Stampede. And then rounding off the schedule as it sits right now, you have Sparta 104 welcoming bare knuckle to the local level. That is happening on November 9th at the Blue Credit Arena in Loveland. Now, folks, we have a special treat for you ahead of this week's LFA card, the LFA 192 happening. We have Kendra McIntyre. Danny, do we have Kendra on the line?
I'm right here.
Hi, Kendra. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get too deep into the thick of things here, Kendra, where can people follow you?
They can follow me on Instagram at team.kendra.
Team.Kendra. There you have it, folks. So you're fighting this weekend against, am I saying this right? Crisada Adames?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I looked at the name and it's a lot of letters that are a little bit difficult to put together there. Now, as far as details, where can people watch? How can people get updates for you as you approach fight night?
Yeah, so the fight will be on UFC Fight Pass, 7 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. for Mountain Time. LFA 92, just search it at UFC Fight Pass, and then I'll be the first fight of the night of the main card.
Perfect. There you have it, folks, as far as the details there and how to catch the action. Now, Kendra, you are a very decorated Muay Thai fighter. You had a viral sensation, epic head kick knockout in your last fight. And, it was pretty much like a kick heard around the world. What was that feeling? And, was there really kind of did you feel the social media bump, if you will, from the KO and how the highlight just spread all over?
Yeah. When it comes to how I felt about the fight, I was just really glad that it was over, honestly. For the social media bump, I did get a small bump. Nothing crazy, because I think the video itself, like when people see it, they just see this anonymous woman knocking out this other woman. So it's not really attached to me. People can't really identify me. So I did get some attention, but it wasn't like too dramatic. Yeah.
That's understandable. But I guess I should ask for your, own personal reflection. That's got to feel pretty good, right? Like, I mean, that's a highlight reel that I feel like any fighter would love to have on their resume.
I'm really happy it happened. I think for me, my dream and my goal and what I aspire to be is somebody who's known for consistent knockouts. So one knockout is like great. It's the first knockout of my pro career, but my desire is to be someone who's consistently knocking someone out. So I'm not exactly happy yet until I can kind of achieve that level of consistency.
Kendra, I heard you say earlier, after the fight, you were more relieved. I think that's really cool that you say that, because a lot of fighters will admit to that sometimes like the anxiety is a lot, it's a lot of pressure. So when you do well, you're just happy that you got it within the 15 minutes. Would you say that's something that you've always felt, or is it just more of a recent thing?
I've been fighting for a long time, so I think as far as I can remember, it's not like, yay, I won. It's like, oh, thank God I won.
Yeah.
I can totally understand that. Now, to ask you, a little bit about the journey, you're a very highly intelligent woman. You got a business administration degree from Cal Berkeley. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you also work during, your day job. You're a software designer. Did I get that right from Ryan?
So I was in 2023. Right now, I don't have a day job.
Gotcha. Okay. But I mean, all those things combined, that's obviously a high IQ to get into that position in life. I saw your quote that you also like to think of yourself as a high IQ fighter. How does that really go hand in hand? And how did you make your jump into fighting?
When it comes to the high IQ part, coaches are gonna hate me for saying this, but like, if you're like lazy, you become more efficient. And I personally don't like to put in any extra that I don't have to. So you get really creative. How could I get more results with less? And that's exactly what I do as a software designer. When your job is to design things that make people think less. So I'm trying to work smarter, not harder.
It's exactly what I was gathering right there. So it's so what you're saying is work smarter, not harder. And I love that mindset.
I was gonna say, I think that you're speaking to all of Josh's languages right there.
Yeah, I mean, will see. I'm the opposite. I am so dumb. I have to work extremely hard. So that's just how it's always been for me. But if someone has the ability to do that efficiently, more power to them.
I mean, MMA is so like grand. Like, we're not good at everything, so we have to like find ways to overcompensate for that.
Yeah.
Now, you got your start with El Nino Gilbert Melendez. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What was that experience like, starting off with someone who had such a decorated resume, and then obviously now out here in Colorado with guys like Cody Donovan and Valor Caballero? But what was it like first walking into the gym? Everybody has a different story as to those first nerves and how it felt. What was that to you?
So when I first walked into Gilbert's gym, I was 16. So I there were no nerves. There was nothing, because I knew nothing. I knew nothing about the sport or fighting or anything like that. But I was really fortunate because they had Johnson on Fairtex. He was their Muay Thai coach. So he was really my first coach. So I had a strong Muay Thai foundation. And then on top of that, their Muay Thai team was like very competitive female strikers. And so I was like immersed with like really competitive women. So I felt like that helped me leveled up a lot, and training with Carrie, who is a phenom of a striker. Like, if you think I'm good at striking, like, she would freaking school me. And having that as a training partner also, like, it makes you level up.
Oh, I can only imagine, which is a great transition point right there, in that you also are surrounded by some of the most elite training partners now as it sits, with former UFC champion and Rose Namajunas to UFC veterans like Mallory Martin. How does having a entire team around you of very consistent high producers just continue to help elevate your game now as you grow along this journey?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think like the key to success is the environment that you're in and your training partners, having people who are equally as hungry and competitive and seasoned as you. Mallory Martin especially has been so key to my success, like on the ground, defense, and just being tougher, getting up. I mean, she really gives me hell, and I'm better for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mallory has some of my favorite clips from women's MMA fights ever, like the Happy Halloween and the No One Can Save You, or the post fight interview with Laura Sanko. I feel like those are some of my favorite highlights that are out there in general. Like those are just great ones to watch all the time.
Yeah, she's crazy.
Now, Kendra, this is going to be your 4th fight for LFA, correct?
Yeah.
And just to put everyone at LFA on the spot, because I'm a huge fan of LFA, obviously I came up through LFA's ranks. Who's your favorite person to work with in the LFA? And why is it Mike Kendall, the announcer? The staff, yeah.
There's this one kid, I think his name is AJ. He is always asking me what song to walk out in. He's the nicest to me. He was the nicest from the beginning. He's very kind. I like him.
That's awesome. And that just segue right into the next question very easily. What is the walkout song? Is it consistent? Does it change?
You know, I don't know. Sometimes like I have ideas and then I don't go with them, and then I can fall back on the last song, you know?
What was the last song, and will it change up for this next one?
So the last song was by Chance the Rapper. I actually don't even know the name of the song, to be honest with you. Yeah. But this next song, I actually don't know yet. I'm still debating.
Game time decision. I like it.
Okay. So this is a question that we like to ask all of the fighters that we bring onto the show. And I think it's something that's different for everybody because it means something different to every individual. But is there a song lyric, a quote, a movie scene, anything along those lines, maybe a work of art that tells the tale of Kendra for this camp?
I don't know. Let me think. It tells the tale for Kendra for this camp.
Yeah, like has there been a song that has gotten you amped, or a quote that maybe just keeps on burning in your mind this entire time? Something along those lines.
Okay, so yes, there is a quote that I read during this camp that I really held on to. The quote goes like this: "You will see an even greater demonstration of..." Oh, where'd he go? Are you back?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. So the quote was, "You will see an even greater demonstration of God's strength," which I thought was incredible.
Okay, so deeply rooted in faith for that quote, or what that means to you, right?
Yeah, of course.
Now, I also have to ask this question just based off of the tie with the Cal Golden Bears, Berkeley. You know, Aaron Rodgers was on Monday Night Football last night. Is there any particular favorite, I guess, recognizable or celebrity Golden Bears out there? And you can't go with the layup because I know everybody is going to say Beast Mode and Marshawn Lynch. So outside of Marshawn Lynch, who would be, I guess, if you had to say someone who you would love to train with, who would be that Cal Golden Bear?
I have no idea. I've been to Cal. I wouldn't train with any of those people.
Okay. Fair enough. Now, I guess maybe just to say, like, to hang out with, or have a coffee, or grab dinner with, anything along those lines. Just what would be, I guess, the top meetup or person who you would love to connect with from Cal? Putting you on the spot.
On
here,
the
Kendra.
spot. Just these are the tough nosed questions that journalists come up with.
hang out with someone. I mean, you know,
I mean, I'm pretty sure you could probably beat up Alex Morgan, right? Didn't she go to Cal?
she's like 6 feet.
Oh, I mean, chop her with
kicks
some
really
leg kicks
hard.
or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of some names out here. You know, trying to get the brainstorming going.
You know, just for context, I'm like the one MMA fighter at that school, so you know, you kind of have a different mentality. You're a little bit more edgier than everybody else.
Oh yeah.
And I really, how do I say? I didn't really care too much about anybody else at that school. I just wanted to graduate, and that's what I did. But like, people do a lot of cool things, but genuinely, I don't care about other sports. Like, I couldn't care less about football or anything else. It's so boring to me. So
Fair enough.
I
Fair enough.
I just like fighting.
I mean, that's not a bad thing at all. Now, as we tie things up here, Kendra, is there in one sentence something that you can say that the fans will be able to expect from you this Friday night?
They should expect a much better performance. I think they should expect a higher level version of me. And like, that last fight is not the best that they've ever seen ever. Like, that's only level 1. We're just getting started. You just entered the party. You know what I'm saying?
Party's just beginning. Okay, last question from me. What is your go-to snack during camp and cutting weight? For example, mine right now, I absolutely love cucumbers and tomatoes with tahini mixed in.
Wow, that's so cute. I think I think
10 things that people would not describe me as.
Cucumbers and tahini. Hard boiled eggs, or some yogurt mixed in with a little honey.
Okay, solid choice. Now, one last time, Kendra, where can people follow you and how can people watch you this weekend?
Okay, you can follow me on Instagram, team.kendra. And if you want to catch me on UFC Fight Pass, 7 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. MST, LFA 92, first fight of the main card.
And on the way out here, is there any message that you want to get out there to friends, family, supporters, anybody in the mix that we haven't covered yet?
No.
Perfect. There you have it, folks. You can catch Kendra in action this Friday for LFA 192 on UFC Fight Pass. Kendra, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a great one. Alrighty, folks. And we're going to hit a quick break here. Just to talk to you real quick for a moment before we head off to the break, we are going to be talking the UFC Sphere card. We're going to be rounding off the hour by going 3 rounds, and we're going to maybe talk a little bit about the Contender Series if we have some time to dabble it in the mix there. Stick around after the break here, folks. Josh and I will be right back with you. Danny gonna hit you with the break.
BYB Bare Knuckle returns to Denver, Colorado, Saturday, September 21st for the long-awaited rematch of the 2023 Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame Fight of the Year in one of the greatest bare knuckle battles to ever take place in the Trigon. As former BYB lightweight champion, Mark the Shark Irwin looks to regain his title against the man who took it from him, Julio Tenori. Plus, BYB women's lightweight champion Patty Juarez looks to become BYB's first 2-division women's champion when she faces Courtney Cameron for the BYB super lightweight title. Don't miss these great matchups and much more. Visit BYBExtreme.com for tickets and information.
Welcome back to the MMA Plug, presented to you by Mile High Sports. I'm Jordan Kurtz. You can give me a follow along online at comments from the Peanut Gallery. Joined here alongside the big yins, Josh Fremd. Give him that follow at Josh Fremd MMA. Go ahead and by all means sound off in the comments, all of our Denver-based fans, and let him know how much this week you hate the black and yellow look right now, given that the Broncos play the Steelers. I know that it's been a little bit of a downtime for each of the two franchises, but let him feel it. Shower him with as much hate as you
1-0.
possibly can.
What are you guys? Oh, that's right.
Don't worry about it.
Did you know that Bo Nix
Don't worry about it.
kind of
is
resembles
Russell
Jameis
Wilson
Winston?
Still, technically your starter.
No, actually, Justin Fields, baby. Let's go.
But enough of that, folks. We are transitioning into the preview for this week's highly anticipated pay-per-view card. That is Noche UFC, presented by Riyadh Season. UFC 306 this weekend is going to be headlined by a bantamweight title fight. You have the champion Sugar Sean O'Malley coming into the contest at 18-1 as he squares off against the challenger, number 1 ranked Merab the Machine Dvalishvili. Dvalishvili has a 17-4 record. He has for quite some time now been the guy who was or has been the number 1 contender. We had the situation previously where his best friend and training partner, Aljamain Sterling, was the champion, so he refused to take the title fight. It just kept on winning and winning and winning in the process, so that once Aljo was gone, I mean, all the rhetoric from Dana was essentially that, we didn't want to give Merab the title shot, but Merab has just kept on winning and doing so in dominating fashion. He doesn't finish a lot of guys, but he dominates the fights.
That's the thing. Like,
it's undeniable.
It's undeniable. And that's when you fight in that style, that's what it has to be. You have to become undeniable. You have to win the fight. You don't have to finish, because if that's not your style, his style is very wrestling heavy and he just dominates guys on the ground. Now, against a guy like Sean with the length, I'm so excited to see this play out. I mean, obviously I'm leaning more Sean, but it's going to be a great stylistic fight.
My cause for concern with Merab in this matchup is he's very hittable. Josh, he does get clipped in a lot of his fights. Doesn't mean that he gets finished a lot by it, but he does get hurt in fights. But he has such a solid gas tank, and his cardio is so top tier that he's able to recover quickly in the process. Now, I posit that to you, and then I ask, how does that come in to the equation when you have arguably the best sniper in the division and the best sniper, dare I say, shy of 185 when Izzy's at his peak?
Yeah. No, I mean, this is a sharp shooter. Like, watching Sean work is just unreal sometimes. And yeah, he's going to have to close. Merab's going to have to close a lot of distance, and he is very hittable. And I mean, Aljo was amazing at closing distance, and he's long and he's big. Merab's not that big, so it's going to be even more of a struggle.
No, and I believe that defensively, Merab is going to have to be sound for 25 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because it's only going to take one from Sean.
Exactly. Sean with a sniper shot, and Merab is going to bring the pressure.
Yeah.
I think we're just going to see a footwork trap of some nature that's going to draw the forward pressure out of Merab. Sean creates the angle and he finds the knockout, whether it be potentially by a knee in anticipation of a takedown or the sniper shot with another right hand from Sugarland.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I say Sean by submission.
Gilly?
Triangle.
Okay. Interesting take
I could
there.
see him jumping a triangle while being taken down, if he gets in on the hips.
And that's why Josh not only can't bet anymore on MMA, but even if he shouldn't bet on MMA. There you have it.
I shouldn't bet, period, dude. That's...
But if you were going to say, if you're asking for what we're leaning, I definitely have to lean toward Sean O'Malley. But does Merab have the wrestling to be able to continue just the takedown, pick him up for 25 minutes? I mean, he showed that he could do that with some of the top guys. I just don't know that he can avoid the devastating blow somewhere within that 25-minute frame.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be tough. And that's why they fight.
Absolutely. In the co-main event, you have a rematch. You have the trilogy fight between Alexa Grasso, who is the sitting champion at 125 pounds, taking on number 1 ranked Valentina Bullet Shevchenko, the former champion. Grasso has the face crank rear naked choke position in the first fight to upset Valentina, wins the belt. Second fight is a controversial draw. This is now the rubber match. Josh, do you have any thoughts on how this fight might go?
It's so tough because Grasso is just so good right now. And I don't want to admit and say that, Shevchenko is past her prime, because she could go out here and spark Grasso. Like, that's just who she is. But I just don't see Alexa Grasso losing on Mexican Independence Day.
She's certainly going to have the crowd behind her. But there's also the question of, with all of the pageantry for the Sphere event on all fronts for all fighters, I guess it's something to say, but those even more so in that high position on the card. How does all that external energy affect them throughout the week? Does it have an impact?
I'm not, and this is just insider information here. I fought on UFC Noche last year, and Grasso and Shevchenko were both on that card as well. And watching them, the way they handled everything, I don't think they feel pressure, because the way that they handle, like, I obviously was nervous. Like, it's a huge opportunity for me. It was my second contract, my first fight on it. And I get at the T-Mobile Arena in UFC Noche, only white boy. Come on. That's awesome. But when I watch the people who, Grasso and Shevchenko are champions, like, that's way above me. So I watch them, and there's the stoicism with them. I don't think they personally give two rats, not cussing, about it, because they're here for their job, and all that other stuff they've learned to put it to the wayside.
Fair enough. And that's a great inside take that you can only get from someone who has the scoop along those lines. That's why we have the Bacon's back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, on the flip side, I think that if Valentina still has it, because she's at essentially that age where, she's right at about the cliff, if she hasn't already started to slip down it, we're seeing the final stages of that run, whether she gets the belt back or not. And I think that one way or the other, and it's a message that I've stressed from, the beginning summer card all the way through to now, some of these vets that are on the back nine, we need to appreciate them while they're here.
Yeah.
Because the greatness only goes for so long. And we're going to talk a little bit more about another star who had one of those years where they were just seemingly unbeatable. They were seeing beach balls in the batter's box, if you will. But the tides can quickly change, and then the run is absolutely over. But moving along from that, we have a matchup that was originally slated for International Fight Week in the men's featherweight division between number 3 ranked T-City Brian Ortega, sitting at 16-3, taking on the white hot prospect and number 12 ranked Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez has over 30 fights worth of experience already at this stage.
Already, dude, this fight here could be the main event. I feel like everyone would still buy this pay-per-view. Diego Lopez is an absolute stud. This kid is so fun to watch. And then you got Brian T-City Ortega across from him, who's an absolute killer in his own right. This is one of those, passing of the guards, quote unquote, like, because T-City's, and he has more time behind him than he does in front of him. Let's just say that. And then Diego, where he's at, he looks like he could go for a couple more years. So this is a huge test for him. And I'm excited to see how this plays out. This is going to be it's going to be nonstop action. And these guys' grappling abilities,
100%. And when we're talking about Brian Ortega, Josh, he's only for the last, 6-7 years fought just the top of the division,
best of the best,
along with legends in the process, Cub Swansons, Frankie Edgars, Max Holloways, Yair Rodriguez. That was a crazy exchange back and forth in their fights. The title fight with Volk. Again, he hasn't been the most active throughout the time just because of injuries and circumstances. But when you have T-City in there, I mean, it's a known product of what you're getting. You know that he's going to go in there, and he's a dog.
Yeah.
You can never question the dog that Brian Ortega has in him.
Don't let those blue eyes fool you.
I can't remember the exact matchup, but the one where he shaved his head, goes over to Fight Island, and all reports from everybody on the flight that he was absolutely just in agony the entire time, that the weight cut was so terrible and poor, but then goes out there and puts on a boxing clinic essentially in that fight. Just a guy who, again, sometimes when his back is up against the wall, you see that dog come out, and I'm interested to see how he is able to fare against a young, hungry dog who is ready to take that next step,
take the next spot.
If he gets into that top 3 with this fight, I mean, we could potentially see the next guy who is challenging for a title right then and there this weekend with a Diego Lopez. Now, folks, this is a confusion amongst a lot of the masses or the casual fan base out there. Diego Lopez, despite the name, he's Brazilian.
Good clarification there, Jordan.
So,
not me, but Yun's out there. You didn't know. Jordan had to, confirm it for you.
Just putting it out there, but just because I know right now he's the hot product that everybody is trying to throw all of their brands and their money at right now, especially given the weekend. And he does train with a team that is Mexican-based with the Grassos.
Yeah.
But he himself is, in fact, Brazilian. Just throwing that out there. Following that, on the main card, you have a matchup between Daniel Zellhuber taking on Esteban Ribovic. This is a matchup where you have two guys who have only seen a loss one time throughout their respective professional careers. And again, maybe a couple of guys that the masses don't know their names, but you will after this weekend, because the energy that they bring, coupled with the spectacle of the show for UFC 300, or excuse me, for UFC Noche at the Sphere, I think that you're going to see a matchup where it's fireworks from bell to bell. Another couple of fights on the card, though, that I think that we have to hit and that we have to talk about, Josh, before we start rounding some things out. You have a ranked matchup between Irene Aldana and Norma Dumont. Now, you have former title challenger in Aldana. 135 pounds is kind of still up for grabs out there. Raquel Pennington, obviously the champion, but the contender picture in terms of who is next in line. And she only has one fight, but I mean, all thoughts say that Kayla Harrison is probably next in line, but a couple of big wins for either one of. And she only has one fight, but I mean, all thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, wow, Jordan, you're everywhere, dude.
All over the place.
Omnipotent. So no, Kayla Harrison by far, she is next. I feel like with her time and with her accolades and what she's done, she should get next. I mean, that's where I think but what do I know,
Fair enough. Now, as far as this matchup right here, I think that stylistically it favors Aldana, in my opinion. Dumont it's not to say that she doesn't have elite skills by any means, but I think that the boxing that Aldana has is some of the best in the division.
Smooth.
And I mean, if we're talking about her putting into effect her game, if she can fight her game plan, she could very well put Norma away in this matchup. I mean, the way that she works from long range, she does have the ability and the precision to put that into effect. So we'll see how that fight goes there. But a last couple of them, just because they are such entertaining prospects in the mix. You have somebody like Ignacio Bahamondes.
I am so excited to watch this guy.
It's much watch TV.
It's much watch. And I mean, Manuel Torres in his own right, like this is a great matchup, and you're getting it on the prelims. I think that's amazing.
It is. It's an opportunity for Torres to go out there and maybe try to steal a little bit of that thunder from Bahamondes. But Josh, I think that we're just seeing growth and evolution with each outing from Ignacio. I mean,
yeah,
he has one of the most viral knockouts in UFC history with the spin wheel kick against Roosevelt Roberts.
Whew.
His last fight had a highlight reel knockout. This kid is dialed in. He's a martial artist through and through. And when he goes out there, he throws kicks with bad intentions. And he's one of the most entertaining guys, but still one of the most under the radar guys, if you will, on the roster right now.
Agreed with everything you just said, which is absolutely crazy how you can be that spectacular and still underrated.
Yeah, I mean, you just go look at his resume. The kid has highlight reel after highlight reel
Probably
finish.
if you put them together, it's probably a 7 to 10 minute highlight reel.
Oh yeah, he's got. I mean, again, if you want to see excitement, you want to see guys who take risks, throw big
Claude
kicks.
Van Damme, that's what you want to see. That's what this kid is.
That's a good comparison with all the
JVD.
spinning stuff that he's throwing. You know, to have a callback from our guest from the Bay Area earlier, and Nick Diaz attached to Gilbert Melendez. You know, we're throwing spinning stuff now. Anybody?
We're reaching here, aren't we?
Oh, super reach. We're reaching deep into the callback bag there with that one. But on the Fight Pass prelims,
No, I'm not doing that.
you have Raul Rosas Jr., the young phenom, El Nino Problema. He is taken on Corlang. This is a fight that, I think that I'm actually a little bit surprised that they put Raul Rosas Jr. the very first fight and putting him on the Fight Pass prelims just based off of potential circulation. But at the same time, this is a kid who they want to go on and do big things.
Yeah,
they didn't sign him when he was 18 years old for no reason.
I think this is kind of a good spot for him because it's gonna be a lot of eyes on Fight Pass. I mean, obviously you're gonna have to pay for it, but it's a good platform for him because he's gonna go out there and do his thing. I have faith in that.
Yeah, the one thing that you know about Raul Rosas Jr. is it is going to be 0 to 100 from the very opening.
Yeah. And the kid's just good. I mean, I don't know how else to put it.
He's good, and we can make all the jokes that we want about some of the antics.
He's a kid. He's still a kid. He's gonna say stupid stuff. He's a kid, but he can fight.
Yeah, that kid can absolutely fight, and that's what I was leading to, Josh. Is no matter what we say in terms of poking fun or any of those sorts of things, the kid absolutely can scrap when it comes time to it, and he's a guy that, as long as he takes the path correctly and doesn't try to bite off too much too early, he will be a kid who you see in top contender pictures. Because I mean, when you're this good, this young, there's no way that you don't continue that trajectory. Yeah. But exactly,
make your money.
Take your time. Make your money. Follow the Cheeto path. He's represented by Jason. Follow the Cheeto path.
It's up to your manager to make sure that you're doing the right things.
And for those who don't know, just go back and look at how many fights Cheeto Vera had in the UFC prior to making his climb into the rankings and becoming somebody who eventually got that title shot. He spent a lot of time just developing and sharpening the sword on undercards and working his way up through the ranks and getting the experience. I personally think that would be the best route for Raul Rosas Jr. What do you think?
No, I agree with that.
Absolutely. That wraps up our Noche UFC preview right there, folks. We are going to go 3 rounds here to close out the hour. But real quick, I want to talk to you guys about a very special project called Guardian. Guardian is Jiu-Jitsu for All. The mission of Guardian, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, they're committed to providing free jiu-jitsu for youth through scholarships all around the world to those who are at risk, undeserved. And, the Guardian Project are dedicated to providing these kids with some stability and an opportunity for discipline and getting them off the streets through training and through martial arts. And Josh, I think it's a tremendous cause that's out there. Where can people find some more information about that?
You can visit factoryxmuaythai.com to find a little bit more information and make your tax-deductible donation.
And transitioning here to close out the hour, we're going to go 3 rounds. I got my man Danny Bailey behind the boards over here. First round, what do we have?
Jackie Amarin defeated Vanessa Demopoulos by armbar last Saturday, but there was some controversy in an alleged glove grab. Any thoughts?
Josh, I'll ask your thoughts first as our expert fighter on the panel.
Far from expert, my friend. But I would say that that's just the way she goes. It's if the ref didn't call it, if the ref didn't see it, you can try and appeal it and you can try and do whatever you want. But at the end of the day, it's just it's the way she goes. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, and Vanessa
I
is
feel bad
appealing
for it. You should appeal, and I feel bad for it. I feel like that's very unfortunate. But what's happened. It's a blemish. I think that they're should have taken a better look at it, but it is what it is.
Agreed. And just overall, that's something that it happens
Very
often. But just because it happens very often, does that mean that it should be just allowed to happen? I guess is.
Do you know what
the
might help?
question.
Maybe some new gloves.
Yeah. Let's not even go into the gloves here. Those we've covered that here. The new gloves are absolutely trash. They're terrible. But like I say, in that instance, I mean, it's a route. It happens. I don't want to say routine, but it happens fairly often. It's unfortunate for Vanessa, but I do agree with Dominic Cruz in his assessment on the broadcast and saying like, hey, like you need to be worried more about doing what you can to defend it, regardless of whether she's grabbing you or not, versus yelling at the referee.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. In the heat of the moment, you should be more worried about your external limbs your extremities getting ripped apart rather than the ref helping to save you. I mean, calling the pot, calling the kettle black, whatever. But it's something that you should have just handled maybe a little differently. But again, we're not in that moment. We're not in the heat of battle. We're not there. So it's hard for us to comment on it.
Totally understandable there and well said. Next round, what do we have?
Former UFC title challenger turned promoter Jorge Masvidal has announced that he is returning to MMA and has his sights set on Leon Edwards. At this point, do you even care?
No. I mean, as much as I love Jorge Masvidal, he had that meteoric rise and one of the greatest years of any fighter in 2019, in terms of having the crossover mainstream success, all of the money, everything that came along with it, becoming the BMF, so on and so forth. But at this stage, he's nearing 40 years old and he's past his prime. That just is what it is. Father Time is undefeated. He is no longer going to be that title contender. Go do these boxing fights and hopefully you go.
I'd rather watch him box.
And, go do these things to go get paid, because you are no longer going to be the guy who is a potential title challenger. You will only be the gatekeeper who they're going to put in young killers like Shavkat Rakhmonov to go in there and build their name off of. And that is not something that you want. That is not how we want to see you come back in return and go out against, because it will not go well.
Agreed.
Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson retired from MMA this past Friday at Ball Arena during One Championship 168. How will his legacy be remembered?
The greatest to ever do it. I know that's very big words, but like when you compare him and John Jones, the lightest and the heaviest, like these two guys are the same but different. It's one of the greatest athletes to ever walk into a cage and compete in mixed martial arts. The things that you saw this guy do was just tremendous. The skill, the ability to think 3 steps ahead. Like, he's had some of the coolest submissions, coolest knockouts, one of the best to ever do it.
I totally agree that he's absolutely one of the best to ever do it. The argument, in my opinion, is it's him and John. I know people are going to throw GSP into the mix, but to me, it's between
I love GSP, yeah.
John and Mighty Mouse. Now, the knock that a lot of people will say is, strength of schedule or caliber, all that. Well, I mean, is it Mighty Mouse's fault that he was that much more dominant than everybody that he fought, that he made it look
easy?
Because it's not like the guys that he fought weren't talented or weren't quality fighters. He just went out there and was that much better in some of those moments. I mean, the first time that he fought, I believe it was the Henry Cejudo fight, he's playing video games, playing Xbox on a live stream from the hotel, says, hold on, guys, I got to go and do this fight. Goes, finishes Henry in the first round.
Unbothered.
Comes back and hops on, I think it was like Minecraft or something like that, but hops right back on the game just shortly after going and winning this fight against one of the most decorated combat sports athletes ever. That's how good Mighty Mouse in his prime was. Then he goes over, and I had the opportunity to speak with him after his retirement announcement at Ball Arena the other night, and asked him himself how he would define his own personal legacy. And at first he said, I haven't really taken the time to think about that, but I would like to remember myself as being a hard worker, as someone who always showed up to work. You didn't have to worry about whether or not I was going to be there or not. You didn't have to worry about my dedication. And I also never had any issues when it came to the drug testing side of things, which is a valid case for Mighty Mouse being number one in the argument against John Jones. All of those things combined, if we look back throughout his body of work, Mighty Mouse worked a day job all the way into being a champion. He worked at a recycling plant that created basically like the foam circle, or the cardboard circles that go around like paper products, and ship them out to customers on the inside of things. Like, there's a video that went viral this last weekend from one of his very first fights in the UFC with Karen Bryant, interviewing him at Media Day and asking him what he does for his day job. And, just it showed that first clip of him with his interview, a young Mighty Mouse, to then him, just a montage going through his career. And it's incredible to see. He takes on the mixed rules fight against Rodtang, to be willing to go in there and throw yourself into the fire with one round, the first round, I believe, that going and being a Muay Thai fight with 4-ounce gloves against one of the most devastating strikers that the world has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, okay, let's do it. Send the contract. Tell me the date. I'll be there. And prevails, wins, finishes him in the second round. Then runs it back with his loss against Adriano Moraes. Wins the second fight by a highlight reel knockout.
In the coolest way possible. Like
poetic justice. Got finished by a knee, goes and has a highlight reel knee, and then closes out one of the most incredible careers ever last year here in Denver at One Fight Night 10 at the First Bank Center. And then makes his retirement announcement at One Championship 168 this last weekend. Again, Mighty Mouse is he's a class act through and through. He's one of those guys that if you're a coach, a parent, anybody who potentially has that kid or that younger one who comes to you asking, hey, who should I look up to in martial arts or in MMA? Who should be somebody that I emulate? It should be Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. He's a guy who did everything right throughout the course of his entire career. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, he has a great life outside of fighting, great family. And I mean, he's also, for people who like Jordan, on the shorter side of things, for smaller people, I think he gives,
6 feet tall.
He's not full,
5'11".
but he's a great example for someone who
Josh
is a great example for kids who might not be big enough for the basketball team, might not be big enough for the football team. And I think that he also it's a good example of, set attainable goals, like a kid who's going to be the height of Mighty Mouse isn't going to go and try and play point guard for his high school basketball team. And this is an avenue with wrestling, with jiu-jitsu, with kickboxing. Like, you don't have to be huge to be really good at this sport, or a sport similar to whatever the combat sport is. So I think he's just another example of that as well.
Absolutely. Well said. And just like that, though, folks, we are all out of time. We want to thank you so much for rocking with us each and every week as we bring to you original combat sports programming. This weekend, please check out the LFA on UFC Fight Pass and check out Kendra McIntyre in action. We want to thank her so much again for coming on the show. Thank you to Ryan Bevins for running point, setting everything up there. I want to thank my man, Danny Bailey behind the glass over here, taking care of us as always, each and every single week from the Mile High Sports Network here. Please make sure that you smash all of those follow, likes, subscribe, share everything that you can. It helps us immensely in the process. I'm Jordan Kurtz. Give me a follow along online at Comments from the Peanut Gallery, sitting alongside the Big Ends, Josh Fremd. Give him that
Go
follow
Lurs.
at Josh Fremd MMA. We'll be back with you next week, same time, same place. This is the MMA Plug presented to you by Mile High Sports.
BYB Bare Knuckle returns to Denver, Colorado, Saturday, September 21st, for the long-awaited rematch of the 2023 Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame Fight of the Year in one of the greatest bare knuckle battles to ever take place in the Trigon. As former BYB lightweight champion, Mark the Shark Irwin looks to regain his title against the man who took it from him, Julio Tenori. Plus, BYB women's lightweight champion Patty Juarez looks to become BYB's first two-division women's champion when she faces Courtney Cameron for the BYB super lightweight title. Don't miss these great matchups and much more. Visit BYBExtreme.com for tickets and information.